दार्विक गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्याल विष्णु भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज शिल गुरुदेव की जय। नित्याल विष्णु विष्णुपाद शतर शत शिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल विष्णु विष्णुपाद शतर शत शिमार भक्ति वेदांत साई महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्याल विष्णु महाभगवत शिल गोक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नित्यानंद विश्व शिव सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्यानंद विष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानु गौड़ीय गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विरत गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जय श्री, is it Putrada Akadashi? Let me just look really quick. Think so. Yeah, श्री पुत्रदा अकादशी तिथि की जय। अकादशी तिथि पालन करी भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो। हरे कृष्णा धन्यवाद प्रणाम। One second. Sorry. Okay. Let's do the Mangala Charan. Let me just open it up really quick. Sorry, I didn't get anything set up. There. Okay, got it open. ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। श्रीसिद्धान्त सरस्वती विदितो कोडियगुर्वन्वये भातो भानुरिव प्रभात गगने योगोरसङ्कीर्तनाय मायावारतिमिङ्गिलो दरगतान् उद्धृत्य जीवानिमान् कृष्णप्रेमसुधाब्धिगाहनसुखं प्रदात् प्रभुं तं भजे। वन्दे भक्तिविनोदं श्री गौरशक्तिस्वरूपकं भक्तिशास्त्रार्यसम्राजं राधारससुधानिधिम्। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टां स्थापितां येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मायां ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वृषभानुसुतान्वितवामतनुं यमुनातटनागरनन्दसुतं मुरलीकलगीतविनोदपरं भज गोद्रुमकाननकुञ्जविदुम् स्मर गौरगदाधर केलिकलां भव गौरगदाधर पक्षचर शृणु गौरगदाधर चारुकतं भज गोद्रुमकानन कुञ्जविदुम् तवैवास्मि तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय देवि त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकाम् भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम् भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल दंडवत प्रणाम्स Nri Hari Prabhu Bhavatarani Mataji Sarveshwari Mataji Nitai Mukesh ji Pradyumna Prabhu Mantramurti Mataji Gokuleshwari Didi Vidyalalasa Didi Raghav Pandit Prabhu, and I see there are 6 devotees, maybe Indira Mataji is there, and whoever else, Dandavat Pranams. If you write a comment, I'll see your name, I'll see who you are. But thank you so much for joining. Today we are beginning the chapter. Oh, Mahi Bharat Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams Prabhu. Haribol. So today we are beginning the chapter on Rāgānuga-bhakti sadhan. Yesterday we completed the chapter on Vaidhi sadhan bhakti. Now Rāgānuga-sādhana-bhakti. One second. Just Mangala, just lie down and then whatever. Okay. Sorry. The ground is a bit cold, and so I was just thinking so that he is. All right. So, Haribol Jai Shri Didi. Today, I'm not going to recap what we went over in the Vaidhi Sadhan-bhakti chapter so much. Yeah, but it would be good to recap it, but I'm just not in the right. I've been busy doing all sorts of other stuff, and so I'm not in the right mental state to do a recap. So I'm just going to jump right into. Well, first let's go through the first verse of Daśa-mūla. Just opening it up. Why is it not coming up? There. Okay. Okay, so Amnaya Praha. Our Praha. I actually don't know. I never looked up the word Praha, but I'm guessing Praha means Praman. I should look that up though, actually. Anyways, I'll do that another. Well, should I do it now? Okay, I'm gonna just opening up the Sanskrit dictionary. It's funny, been going over this for how long now, and I just never thought to look up the word Praha. Okay. Here, I'll let you see what it says in the dictionary. Praha is instruction in the art of dancing. Instruction in the art of dancing. Addressed began to speak. Addressed said, spoke. Okay, so praha, I'm guessing means like vakya, like the words of the Vedas. The words, no, well, amnaya specifically refers to the words of our acharyas, like, sorry, the words from of the Vedas received through the Sat Sampradaya. That's called amnaya. So that amnaya establishes, it proves, it's the praman, the evidence for the following nine prameyas. That which is prameya means that which is proven by the praman. So the first three prameyas relate to Sri Hari, that Sri Hari is the absolute truth, that he is the possessor of all potency, and he is an ocean of ras. The next three prameyas relate to the jiva, that the jivas are Sri Hari's separated parts, and they are divided into two categories. They are the Baddha jivas, the conditioned souls, and the Mukta jivas, the liberated souls. So the Baddha jivas are Prakriti means the material energy, Kavalitan. They are swallowed by the material energy. And oops, let me shut off this music thing. And the Mukta jivas, the liberated souls, are Tad Vimuktangs. They are, Tad is referring to Prakriti, the material energy. The Mukta jivas are free from Maya. They're now everything in existence, Sakalam. Sakalam means everything is a Prakash, is a manifestation which is Bheda, which is different, and Abheda, non-different from Sri Hari. Our sadhan, our the means to attain the sadhya, the goal, is Shuddha Bhakti. And what is the goal? What is that sadhya? It is Tat Pritim. It is love, Priti. Priti for Tat, for him. Krishna Prem. So in this way, Gora Chandra, he upadishati janan, he instructs the people. Um, that Gora Chandra, who is Swayam Bhagavan, Shri Krishna Chandra himself. Okay. Let's recite the verse and then we'll begin the chapter. Amnaya prahatatvam harimiha paramam sarvashakting rasabdhim tad bhinnangshangscha jivan prakriti kavalitan tad vimuktangscha bhavat Bheda Bheda Prakasham Sakalamapi Hare Sadhanam Shuddha Bhakti Sadhyam Tat Pritime Vetyupadishati Janan Gaura Chandra Swayangsa. Okay. So I'm just opening up. Where is it? I'm opening up the chapter. Jaiva-dharma. Okay, so chapter 21, Rāgānuga-sādhana-bhakti. Would be good if I went over the last things that we read because I didn't read it so nicely. Okay, let's just read the very end part at least. So Babaji says, amongst the 64 angas of bhakti, these last five, the last five are the most exalted. What is that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita? It's Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathura Vas Shrimurtira Shraddhaya Sevan. So if one establishes even a slight connection with them and keeps aloof from offenses, then the state of bhav will arise by their unlimited wonderful influence. Vijay Kumar. Kindly tell us if there's something more that we should know in relation to this process. Babaji, the Shastras sometimes describe some intermediate fruits of these angas of bhakti, in order to create ruchi, to create taste for bhajan in those who are extroverted and impious. However, the main fruit of all these angas is to develop attachment to Krishna. All the bhakti, and not within the angas of fruit of action, of karma. The practice of knowledge, of gyan, and renunciation, and vairagya, they may sometimes assist somebody to enter within the temple of bhakti, but gyan and vairagya, knowledge and renunciation, are not angas of bhakti because they make the heart hard, whereas bhakti is very soft and tender by nature. Bhaktas accept the gyan and vairagya that manifest of their own accord through the practice of bhakti. But gyan and vairagya cannot be the cause of bhakti, and bhakti easily awards results that knowledge and renunciation cannot give. Sadhan bhakti gives rise to such ruchi, to such taste for Hari Bhajan, that even very strong attachment to sense objects decreases and vanishes. The sadhak must always practice yukta vairagya. That's appropriate renunciation, in which you use all things for the service of Krishna. Everything is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So I'm completely renounced for using anything for myself, but I want to use everything in Krishna's service. That's yukta vairagya. So the sadhak must always practice yukta vairagya and always stay away from the spirit of deceitful renunciation, falgu vairagya. Yukta vairagya means to accept all paraphernalia according to the need and in a detached mood, knowing it to be related to Krishna. If things are actually related to Sri Hari, it is artificial to renounce them as worldly because of greed for mukti. This is called falgu vairagya. Therefore, adhyatmika gyan and falgu vairagya should be given up. Sometimes bhakti is displayed to acquire wealth, disciples, and so on. But this is far from pure bhakti. In fact, such a show of bhakti is not actually an anga of bhakti at all. Discrimination, vivek, and other qualities are not angas of bhakti. They are qualities of the practitioner of bhakti. And this is a very important point, because lots of times people assess somebody's eligibility as a Vaishnava just based on qualities of like, oh, they have very good intelligence, discrimination, they're kind, soft-hearted, compassionate. They are, like all these different qualities, which are wonderful qualities. But having these qualities, knowing when these qualities are coming from just material goodness, or when they are coming from bhakti, is a very difficult thing to see the difference between, and there's a world of difference between them. So, yeah. So all these good qualities, discrimination and other qualities, they are not angas of bhakti. They are qualities of a practitioner of bhakti. Similarly, yam, niyam, that means following rules, giving up, following the prohibitions, good conduct, cleanliness, and so on, are naturally present in people who are favorable towards Krishna. So they are also not angas of bhakti. Cleanliness, all these different things, they're not angas of bhakti. Qualities such as inward and outward purity, austerity, and sense control take shelter of Krishna's bhaktas of their own accord. The bhaktas do not have to endeavor for them separately. Some of the angas of bhakti that I have mentioned are principal angas, and one will attain perfection by firmly performing sadhan of any of these principal angas or of several of them. I have explained everything about Vaidhi sadhan bhakti in a very brief way. Now you should understand this clearly, take it to heart, and practice it with full force. When Vrajanath and Vijay Kumar heard these instructions from Babaji, they offered Shashtanga Dandavat Pranam and said, Prabhu, please deliver us. We are trapped in the deep trench of pride. Babaji Mahashai replied, Certainly, Krishna will bestow his mercy upon you. That night, uncle and nephew returned home very late. Thus ends the 20th chapter of Jaiva-dharma entitled Prameya Abhideya Vaidhi-sadhana-bhakti. Okay, so now we are beginning chapter 21, Prameya Abhideya Rāgānuga-sādhana-bhakti. And just that last point that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was making, it feels very relevant to me because I do read lots of different kind of not, well, I guess you could say self-help kind of books and stuff, but really like to develop all these qualities of, being able to use your time in the best way um and all different good qualities, all different motive goodness qualities. Actually, they all come automatically if we just give ourselves to bhakti and we fully surrender, then every good quality will come automatically through bhakti. We don't actually need to go to any other source. We don't need any self-help anything or like that. Like everything that we need is within bhakti. If we could just, like, if I were just to fully absorb myself in the instructions of our acharyas and try to follow them sincerely and like that, I would have no need for any kind of self-help, anything that any other person gives. Everything that's necessary would automatically come from that bhakti. But because I don't have such strong surrender and faith like that, that's why I go to other. So I'm just speaking for myself. It's it's good to at least know in theory, even if I'm not able to follow everything, but at least I know in theory that yes, actually, there's no need for anything else other than bhakti. I mean, somebody could say, make the argument that all these different self-help things, they could be seen as like you could use all these teachings in Krishna service and then it's like yukta vairagya, but it's not necessary even because everything that we need, anyways, whatever, I'm going on a rant now. All right, so chapter 21, Prameya, Abhideya, Rāgānuga-sādhana-bhakti. Finished Vaidhi-sadhana-bhakti now, Rāgānuga-sādhana-bhakti. Vijay Kumar and Vrajanath were impressed when they heard the deliberation concerning Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. They became firmly convinced that one must accept Harinam and Diksha from a Siddha Mahatma, a great perfected soul, in order to enter the supreme abode. They therefore decided to accept Diksha from Siddha Babaji Maharaj the very next day, so as to not lose any time. Vijay Kumar had already received Diksha mantra from his family guru in his boyhood. Vrajanath, however, had not received any Diksha mantra other than the Gayatri mantra. They had both clearly understood from the revered Babaji's instructions that the jiva goes to hell if he chants mantras received from a guru who is not a Vaishnav. Therefore, according to the regulations of Shastra, when proper discrimination has awakened, he should again take Diksha from a Shuddha Vaishnav guru. Particularly, one can achieve perfection in the chanting of his mantra very quickly by accepting the mantra from a Siddha Bhakta. Thinking like this, they both decided that they would go to Mayapur the next morning, bathe in the Ganga, and then take Diksha from the most revered Babaji. The next morning, they bathed in the Ganga and applied tilak to the 12 places on their bodies. They then arrived before Raghunath Das Babaji and offered prostrated obeisances at his lotus feet. Babaji Maharaj, being a Siddha Vaishnav, understood their minds. But as a matter of etiquette, he said, "Why have you come here today so early in the morning? What is the matter?" Vijay Kumar and Vrajanath humbly replied, "O Master, you know that we are very lowly and destitute of spiritual wealth, so kindly take pity on us." Babaji Mahashai was very pleased to hear them speak in this way. He called them into his kutir separately and bestowed upon them the mantra consisting of 18 syllables. That's the Gopal mantra, right? On receiving and chanting the mantra, they both became intoxicated with Mahaprem and started dancing, crying out, "Jai Gauranga! Jai Gauranga!" Around their necks, they wore 3 strands of tulsi beads. The beautiful sacred thread was draped about their bodies, which were marked with tilak and 12 paces. Which was marked with tilak in 12 places. Their faces were charming. They exhibited some sattvic vikar, some transformations of ecstasy, and tears flowed incessantly from their eyes. When Babaji Mahashai saw such beautiful forms, he embraced them and said, "Today you have sanctified me." Again and again, they relished the dust from Babaji's lotus feet and rubbed it on their heads and on all of their limbs. At the same time, in accordance with Rajanath's previous arrangement, their 2 servants arrived with a large quantity of food offerings, bhog for Shriman Mahaprabhu. With folded hands, Vijay Kumar and Rajanath requested that the bhog preparations should be offered, and the venerable chief among the bhaktas of Shiva's Angan instructed the pujari to offer the bhog to the deities of Shri Shri Panchatattva. Conch shells and bells sounded, and the Vaishnavas took up cymbals, kartals, and mridangas and began to sing the Bhog Arati song before Shriman Mahaprabhu. Many Vaishnavas gathered, and the Bhog offering was accomplished with great ceremony. Arrangements were then made for distributing Mahaprasad in the Natya Mandir, in the dancing hall. Hearing the loud sounds of Harinam, all the Vaishnavas assembled together, bringing their lotas with them. Then they loudly chanted the glories of Mahaprasad and began to honor Prasad. One thing I really love in Gopinath Gaudiya Math, I was taking Prasad there every day for a couple months. And before everybody sits to take Mahaprasad, they all stand, like in the line, everybody stands. And then one devotee goes at the head of like where everybody's standing, and then he reads a section of Chaitanya Bhagavat. And then after he finishes reading and they're reading through the Chaitanya Bhagavat before Prasad. And then after he finishes reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, then everybody loudly sings together, Sharira Vijajal Jarendriya, and then everybody sits down and takes Prasad. And then there's like a really serious mood before you honor Prasad. I really loved that custom. So then they loudly chanted the glories of Mahaprasad and began to honor Prasad. Rajanath and Vijay Kumar did not wait to sit down immediately because they are waiting for Mahaprasad, the remnants of the Guru and the Vaishnavas. However, the foremost of the respected Babajis made them sit down, saying, "You are Grihastha Vaishnavas. We will be blessed by offering prostrated obeisances unto your lotus feet." Wow, it's quite the opposite from the culture in the temples these days. It's like nobody gives honor to Grihastha Vaishnavas like that. I'm a renunciate. I'm like that. So Vijay Kumar and Rajanath said humbly with folded hands, "You are great renounced Vaishnavas. We will be very fortunate if we can partake of your ambrosial remnants, and it will be an offense if we sit with you." The Vaishnavas replied, so far as Vaishnavism is concerned, there is no difference between a householder and a renunciate. Vaishnavas are compared only according to their devotion. The more advanced Vaishnav is simply the one who has the deeper devotion for Sri Krishna. They all sat together conversing in this way and honoring Prasad. But Vijay Kumar and Rajanath waited quietly, faithfully keeping their Prasad in front of them. Some of the Vaishnavas who were respecting Prasad noticed this, and, understanding their motive, said to Raghunath Das Babaji, "O chief of the Vaishnavas, please be kind to your faithful disciples, otherwise they will not take Prasad." When the elderly Babaji heard the Vaishnav's request, he gave some of his Prasad to Vijay and Rajanath. They accepted his remnants with great faith, uttering Shri Guruve Namaha, and began to honor Prasad. While the bhaktas were taking Prasad, some would call out, "Sadhu Savadhan! Be careful not to overeat." Sadhu Savadhan means careful sadhu. And all glories to the greatness of the Prasad. Oh, what unprecedented splendor arose in the Natya Mandir of Srivas Angan at that time. Everyone perceived Sri Shachi Devi, Sita Thakurani, Advaita Acharya's wife, and Malini Devi, that's the wife of Srivas Thakur, bringing prasad, while Sriman Mahaprabhu sat lovingly, while Sriman Mahaprabhu sat and lovingly took that prasad with his dear associates. Seeing this, the Vaishnavas forgot to take their own prasad. They all watched, motionless, while tears of great joy gently trickled from their eyes. And their hands, which were in the act of bringing prasad to their mouths, remained fixed for as long as this Leela was manifest. After a short time, the Leela disappeared from their sight, and they gazed at one another and wept. Then the sweet taste of that prasad defied description. As if with a single voice, all of the bhaktas said, "These two sons of Brahmins are recipients of Gaur Hari's mercy. For this reason, Sriman Mahaprabhu has manifested his Leela in this festival today." Rajanath and Vijay Kumar wept and said, "We are worthless, wretched, and destitute. We know nothing at all. We could only see all these things today by the causeless mercy of our Guru and the Vaishnavas. Today, our taking birth has become meaningful." When Vijay Kumar and Rajanath had honored prasad, they took permission of the Vaishnavas and returned home. Just one point on this topic. It seems like in Jaiva-dharma, all these things are happening so quick. Like, how is it that they just got initiated and then all of a sudden they're having darshan of Shachi Devi, Sita Thakurani, and Malini Devi giving prasad to Mahaprabhu, and like, how is it they're like, and the reason, this is just my understanding, but the reason is because they were free from offense to Vaishnavas. And if we don't commit any aparad, then it's actually really fast. Everything happens like that. But the only reason why we have all these struggles, why we're not feeling anything, is because of aparad. This is probably like one of my most quoted things, but from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, for one who's free from aparad, there are only two steps: Nam Grahan and Vaikuntha Arohan. They chant the name and it immediately ascends to Vaikuntha. And the reason why we have to go through all these levels, this Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, and all these Loy, Vikshepa, Pratapatti, every single struggle that we have in our spiritual life is due to offenses, due to aparad, especially Vaishnava aparad. And so this is what we have in store for us. This kind of bliss and direct darshan of Mahaprabhu and like that, if we can just refrain from making Vaishnava parad and sincerely follow the instructions of Sri Gurudev. So yeah, is it worth it? Next time we think any negative thing about somebody and we want to just blurt it out, or we hear a conversation, is it really worth everything that we're missing out on because of that? Yeah. Okay. So when Vijay Kumar and Brajanath had honored prasad, they took permission of the Vaishnavas and returned home. Oh, okay. Yeah. 1 second. Just need to bring. Ready. Okay. Oh, been having a lot of trouble milking Shamali. So now I'm gonna try to milk her. Okay. From that day on, they bathed daily in the Ganga, and then offered Dandavat Pranam at the feet of their preceptor. They would then take darshan of the deity forms of Sri Krishna in the mandir and circumambulate Tulsi. In this way, they accepted some kind of instruction every day. After 4 or 5 days had elapsed, they presented themselves one evening at Shiva's Angan. Sandhya Arati and Nam Sankirtan were already over. And Sri Raghunath Das Babaji sat in his kutir, softly chanting Sri Nam in a sweet voice. They both offered Dandavat Pranam at his lotus feet, and he lovingly placed his lotus hand on their heads, seated them, and inquired about their welfare. Vrajanath saw this as an opportunity and said, Master, by your mercy, we have properly understood Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. Now we are very anxious to understand Rāgānuga-bhakti, so kindly instruct us about this. Babaji was extremely pleased to hear this and said, Shri Gaurachandra has taken both of you as his own, so there is nothing that should not be given to you. Listen very carefully as I explain Rāgānuga Bhakti. First, I offer my Dandavat Pranam again and again at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami, whom Sriman Mahaprabhu liberated from the association of the Muslims, and to whom he instructed Rasa Tattva at Prayag. I then take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, who is like a black bee tasting the nectar of that Vrajaras. Our Srila Gurudev would explain how Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is the topmost Rupanuga. So for us, he is the ideal role model, because we're aspiring to become Rupanugas. That's our only aspiration is to become a Rupanuga, right? Just like Srila Narottam Das Thakur wrote in Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. And who is the topmost Rupanuga? Is Raghunath Das Goswami. So now Babaji is offering, I take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, who's like a black bee tasting the nectar of that Vrajaras. The supremely merciful Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu liberated him from the bottomless pit of gross materialism. Then, by entrusting him within the hands of Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami, he bestowed all perfection upon him. Now, before describing Rāgānuga Bhakti, I should explain the Sarup of Ragatmika Bhakti. Vrajanath. But I would first like to know what is Rag. And just, okay, anyways, never mind. I'll just keep on reading. Babaji, when materialistic people are in contact with the objects of the senses, they naturally become deeply attached to an endless variety of material sense enjoyment. This intense attachment in the heart is called Vishaya Rag, intense attachment for material enjoyment, for Vishaya. So that's Vishaya Rag. When they glance upon some beautiful object, the eyes become restless, and in the heart there is an attraction. There's ranjakata. There's attraction towards the objects of beauty and attachment. Sorry, there's attraction, there's ranjakata, and attachment. There's a rag to it. Rag bhakti is the state in which Krishna becomes the sole when Krishna becomes the sole object of rag. So that's the difference. Vishaya rag is when these material objects is the object. Sorry, and rag. Sorry, I can't talk. And rag bhakti is the state in which Krishna becomes the sole object of rag. Srila Rupa Goswami has defined the word rag in the following way. And it's reminding me of the song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, Vishaye je priti ebe achaye amar, she mata priti hok charane tumar. May my love that I now have for the objects of the senses, for Vishaya, for material enjoyment, may I have that same love for you. If we could just love Krishna as much as we love everything in this world, then we've attained the goal. That's okay. So Rupa Goswami has defined the word rag in the following way. Ishte swarasaki raga parama vishtata bhavet tanmai ya bhaver bhakti satra ragatmiko dita. That's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 to 272. This is a very good verse to learn. So raga is the unquenchable loving thirst. It's the prema mai trishna. It's the unquenchable loving thirst for the object of one's affection, which gives rise to spontaneous and intense absorption, swarasiki paramavishtita. It gives rise to spontaneous and intense absorption in that object. So swarasiki is spontaneous and intense absorption. It's parama avishtita. Ragmai bhakti is the performance of seva, such as stringing garlands with such intense rag. Okay? And we should revisit this verse a few times just so that we become very clear on what is raga and what is ragatmika. Basically, rag is, okay, so rag was, what was it? It was three things as mentioned, right? Raga is unquenchable loving thirst, that's one. Prema mai trishna, for the object of one's affection. And then the next thing, oh, okay, two things, I guess. And the next is that it's swarasiki, it's spontaneous, and there's complete, intense avishtata, parama avishtata, supreme, intense absorption in that object. So thirst, spontaneity, and absorption. Those are the three things I'm noticing. And then everything that's done with that rag, that is ragamai or ragatmika. Okay. So raga is the absolute, the parama, the absolute and undivided swarasiki, undivided or spontaneous absorption, avishtata is absorption, in one's own particular object of worship. When devotion to Krishna comes to the stage of ragamai, it is called ragatmika bhakti. In summary, it can be said that intense hankering for Krishna that is saturated with premamai, is called ragatmika bhakti. Okay, so intense hankering for Krishna that is saturated with prem, that is ragatmika bhakti. And so raga is the thing which the intense thirst, completely spontaneous and very intense absorption, that's raga. And then anything that has that rag is called ragatmika. So the ragatmika jan, those are the Vrajavasis that have a rag. Okay, so raga, ragatmika. And then next is Rāgānuga, which means wanting to follow those who have that rag. So raga, that's the thing. Then that which has rag is ragatmika, and then following those who have that rag, that's Rāgānuga. Those are the three words. Rajanath, who has the adhikar, who has the qualification for ragamai bhakti? Babaji. Vaidhi Shraddha, so Shraddha on the platform of Vaidhi Bhakti bestows the adhikar for Vaidhi Bhakti. And similarly, Lobhamai Shraddha, that means faith imbued with greed for Krishna's Vrajalila, that bestows the adhikar for Ragamai Bhakti. The bhav of the Vrajavasis towards Krishna is the supreme example of Ragatmika Bhakti. The bhav that the Vrajavasis have towards Krishna, that's the supreme example of Ragatmika Bhakti. One who has the great fortune to have greed, to have lobh, to obtain the same bhav, the same sentiment as the Vrajavasis have towards Krishna, that person has the adhikar for Rāgānuga Bhakti. So what's the qualification? Lobha, to have greed, to obtain the same bhav, the same moods as the Vrajavasis have towards Krishna. That is the qualification for Rāgānuga Bhakti. But, okay, that seems easy. I want to I want to play with Krishna and all these things for Krishna. So I have greed, right? No. Rajanath, we need to know, what does actually greed mean? So Rajanath asks, what are the symptoms of such lobha? Babaji, when one hears about the intensely sweet bhavs of the Rajavasis, one's intelligence, buddhi apeksha, begins to consider how one may enter into those dealings. That desire, apeksha, that desire is a symptom that lobha has awakened. There's a really important point related to this, though, because the key thing here is, what does hearing actually mean? And Srila Jiva Goswami, there's I've read this before, on here. Maybe some of you remember, but there's Prem Prayojan Prabhu. He published Gurudev's book, um, Gaudiya Darshan. Well, like Gurudev published Gaudiya Darshan. It's a class by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and it's very difficult to understand. So Prem Prayojan Prabhu, he wrote a commentary on that, um, and he explains in this context regarding raga, what does hearing actually mean, and what was the word? It was anubhuti. So it's not hearing just like as like how I hear anything, like just, but it's the hearing is very specifically, um, it means when you're actually, like, real hearing means to have darshan and to have actual experience. Anubhuti means experience of what's being spoken. So when we hear with completely, this is Jiva Goswami's explanation. He writes this all. He writes, yeah, I could show you the Sanskrit for it. And it's in relation to this verse specifically, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And so it means hearing with complete, there's a qualification to hear. Like the qualification to actually hear, to actually is to hear with full shraddha. And shraddha means surrender. So if everything that we're hearing, we're completely surrendering to every single word. And we're filled with shraddha like that, and we can hear, and then we actually experience what's being spoken. We have like darshan of what's being spoken. Then that's the qualification for Raganuga. That's how lobha comes, real lobha. So when one hears about the intensely sweet bhavs of the Vrajavasis, one's intelligence begins to consider how one may enter into those dealings. That desire, that apeksha, is the symptom that lobha has awakened. A person who has the adhikar for Vaidhi Bhakti tests everything on the platform of intelligence, knowledge of Shastra, and reasoning. And when he hears Krishna Katha, he only accepts it if these three support it. So they'll always be saying, "Oh, well, I don't remember reading that pastime in Shastra," and well, like they're, and it's all just through the intelligence. So, okay, I'll only accept this pastime if I've seen it in Srimad Bhagavatam or one of these scriptures like that. However, there is no such consideration in Ragamarg. For intelligence, knowledge of Shastra, and reasoning are not desired on this path. All that is needed is the greed for the sentiments of the Vrajavasis. What are the sweet bhavs of the Vrajavasis towards Krishna? Is it possible for me to obtain such bhavs? How can this be obtained? This intense yearning is a symptom of greed, and one who does not have it does not have the adhikar for Raganuga Bhakti. This you should understand. And really, if you actually have this type of greed, then you won't desire anything else. You won't have greed for anything else. You'll only have greed for loving Krishna like the Vrajavasis. And so if you have greed for anything else, if you have any other desires or anything like that, then you're not qualified for Raganuga Bhakti. And if you prematurely think that you're qualified for Raganuga Bhakti, and you say, yeah, I have the greed, but you don't actually, in reality, then we read that verse, you'll only create utpat, disturbance. Shrutam Shrutam Puranadi. What is that verse that we just went through? Yeah, you'll only create utpattayava kalpate. You only create disturbance. So Vrajanath. But one thing, sorry, just one more point. One thing that's absolutely essential. We must perform Vaidhi Bhakti. Like that's, and it's been explained in Jaiva-dharma already. We must, but our Vaidhi Bhakti, the Vaidhi Bhakti that we follow is different than Vaidhi Bhaktis that other people, like, that maybe, other sampradayas and stuff like that they follow. Because our Vaidhi Bhakti, we have an aim of coming to we were aiming to be able to perform Rāgānuga Bhakti. Our aim is to obtain this lobha, this greed. And so if we have the aim of coming to of becoming qualified to perform Rāgānuga Bhakti, it's a special type of Vaidhi Bhakti. Rajanath, what is the process of Rāgānuga Bhakti? Babaji. The sadhak who has developed greed towards the beautiful service mood, the seva of a particular Vrajavasi, always remembers and meditates on his seva to that personality. He is absorbed in the mutual pastimes of his beloved Sri Krishna with the Vrajavasis, and he constantly resides in Vraj, either physically or within the mind, having agreed to obtain his or her bhav. He follows that Vrajavasi's example and always renders seva in two ways. Externally, he serves as a practicing sadhak, and internally, he renders seva with the bhavs, with the bhavan purvak of his siddha deha. This is the process of Rāgānuga Bhakti. Okay, so externally, he serves as a practicing sadhak, but internally, he renders seva with the bhavs of his siddha deha. This is the process of Rāgānuga Bhakti. Rajanath. One second. No, doesn't matter. My phone's ringing, but I can't find it. Okay. What is the relationship between Rāgānuga Bhakti and the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti? Babaji. The angas of Vaidhi Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and so on, are also included in the Rāgānuga sadhak's practice. The sadhak follows the eternal residence of Raj, and consequently, he tastes the eternal bliss of service. At the same time, he observes the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti with his external body. Rajanath. Please explain the glories of Rāgānuga Bhakti. Babaji. Rāgānuga Bhakti very quickly bestows that fruit which one cannot obtain even by observing the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti with firm faith, with nishta, for a long time. So when I read that, I didn't actually, the sadhak follows the eternal residence of Raj at that same time. He observes the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti with his external body. Okay, sorry, I was thinking about something else when I read that. So please explain the glories of Rāgānuga Bhakti. Rāgānuga Bhakti very quickly bestows that fruit which one cannot obtain even by observing the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti with firm faith for a long time. Devotion on the Vaidhi Marg is weak because it depends on rules and regulations, whereas Rāgānuga Bhakti is naturally strong because it is completely independent. When one adopts the spiritual conception of following in the footsteps of a loving resident of Vraj, raga is awakened, which actually involves following the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, and Atmanivedanam. Ruchi, taste for following in the footsteps of the Vrajavasis, is only awakened in those whose hearts are nirguna, whose hearts are beyond material attributes. This is why the greed for Rāgānuga Bhakti is supremely rare and the root of supreme auspiciousness. There are many types of Rāgānuga Bhakti there are as many types of Rāgānuga Bhakti as there are of Ragatmika Bhakti. Because, right, the Vrajavasis have attachment for Krishna in unlimited different ways. right? There's so many different ways that the Vrajavasis have attachment for Krishna. Mother Yashoda has attachment for Krishna in this particular way. And, the Sakis, they have attachment for Krishna in this particular way. The Sakas have attachment, and even the Sakas, they all have their own unique way, their own attachment for Krishna. And so in Raganuga Bhakti, the desire arises in the heart to follow a particular type of rag of one of the Vrajavasis. And so that's why there's, yeah. And wait, this was an important point though. Ruchi for following in the footsteps of the Vrajavasis is awakened in those hearts who are nirguna, beyond material attributes. That's why greed for Raganuga Bhakti is supremely rare. Okay, so if you are free from, if you're completely nirguna, beyond material attributes, you have no material, no rajagun, no tamagun, no sattvagun, no material guns, you're completely nirgun. Then you have, then you'll have then you have genuine ruchi for following in the footsteps of Vrajavasis. Then you're qualified for Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, Vrajanath, how many kinds of Rāgānuga Bhakti are there? Oh, it's 8 o'clock almost. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the question. I'm just gonna read the first paragraph and then we'll stop. So how many kinds of Rāgānuga Bhakti are there? Babaji, there are two kinds of Rāgānuga Bhakti. That which is based on transcendental lust to satisfy Krishna is Kamarupa, of the gopis especially, and that which is based on relationship, Sambandha Rupa, of Vatsalya Ras, of Sakya Ras, of Dasya Ras, that's Sambandha Rupa. And so then Vrajanath asks, please explain the difference between Kamarupa and Sambandha Rupa. So we will hear the difference tomorrow. All right, that's our program for today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. This is such an essential topic to really understand clearly. So yeah, I'd like to go through this a little bit slowly and just really try to understand each point. So many devotees have misconceptions about what Raganuga Bhakti means, and they think it's just free love, just like more like a hippie kind of, yeah, just love. Who cares about all these rules and regulations? We just need to love Krishna. And they're like, oh, I woke up late today because I'm above rules and regulations. Raganuga Bhakti. Well, actually, Raganuga Bhakti, if you're really following Raganuga Bhakti, then you actually follow a lot of the rules and regulations more like with automatically without trying, but you're automatically doing things even more at a higher level than a Vaidhi Bhakti. For example, in Vaidhi Bhakti, okay, you need to wake up before Brahma Muhurta, take bath and everything like that, and then follow all these rules like that. Somebody with a Raganuga Bhakti, they'll wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I don't want to miss the nighttime pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and they're serving internally and externally. They're serving in their Siddha Deha even, and so that's the level of Raganuga Bhakti is a very high thing. It doesn't just mean being lax and following rules and regulations. Actually, follow everything with more with out of greed and like that. Yeah. Anyhow, okay. There's a really nice quote in I think it was Rāgānuga Chandrika. We used it in the documentary because this is a whole topic in one of the documentary that we made of Srila Gurudev, the gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's a whole section on this topic of Raganuga Bhakti. If anybody wants to see it, it's really good. All right. We'll end here. जय श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग गंधर्व गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जय श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरण मोहन जू की जय नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशत अशत श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशत अशत श्री श्रीमद् Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Shrimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gaurkishoras Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityalala Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Korya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Shard Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Pasha Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Kotu Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyaya Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradevi, Satyavataya Namo Namaha, Pancha Kalpatarubhyashta, Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Just one quick point. And why is it essential to understand what is a Raganuga Bhakti and what is a Raga, what is Ragatmika, all these topics? Why is it essential for us to understand, even if it's so far away from us? It's completely essential to understand because this is why Mahaprabhu came to this planet. We have to know why Mahaprabhu came. Why are we like, if we don't know why Mahaprabhu came and what the primary gift that he came to give us, if we don't understand what that is, then how can we actually be considered, how could we be a follower of Mahaprabhu? If we don't even understand what his purpose and what very thing he came to give us. And so we at least have to know that. And then we can that's like the first step in moving towards becoming a Rupanuga is understanding what Mahaprabhu came to give. Yeah. And we know there's 4 reasons for Mahaprabhu's descent. And for the Jivas, he had 2 reasons. He had the primary reason and the secondary reason. So the primary reason for the Jivas was to give Ragmai Bhakti, the love that the Vrajavasis have for Krishna, this attachment that they have for Krishna. He came to give this. And then the secondary reason was to give the process for the age, the Yuga-dharma, Nam Sankirtan. But Mahaprabhu's Nam Sankirtan is very different than all other Kali Yugas. Because in every Kali Yuga, Nam Sankirtan is the dharma for that age, like the Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtan in every Kali Yuga. But in this Dhanya Kali, when Mahaprabhu appears, then it's Prem Nam Sankirtan. It's Nam Sankirtan, but imbued with the Prem of the Vrajavasi. So, but the primary thing was to give Ragmai Bhakti. Ragmar Bhakti Loke Korite Pracharan. Right? That was Mahaprabhu's primary reason. So we have to understand this. All right. Dandavat pranams Nri Hari Prabhu and Pavatarini Mataji. Okay, one second. I'm just going to offer pranams to Sarveshwari Mataji and then you can. And Sarveshwari Mataji, Dandavat pranams. Kokuleshwari Didi, Jai Shri Didi, Nitai Mukesh. I already said Bhavatarini Mataji, right? I think so. And then I'm looking on YouTube and Facebook. Vidya Lala Sadidi, Pradumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Raghav Pandit Prabhu, Mahi Bharat Prabhu, Dandavat pranams Prabhu, Suman Shilji, Lakshmi Ben, Mata. Krishna Mai Didi, Vidyalalasa Didi. Vidyalalasa Didi says, speaking of Loba, Srila Gurudev used to give the example of a thief. A thief doesn't think of the consequences before stealing. He wants something, so he steals it. Similarly, one who truly has lobe does not think of right or wrong. He will go at any length to attain the object of his loba. Yes, yes, my Gurudev would give that example. Like there might be a very ugly, poor beggar, street beggar with who's has nothing, absolutely nothing, and he's dirty and like that, and just like seems like a hopeless person. And then he sees Princess Diana. I think my Gurudev would use Princess Diana, and then oh, if only I could become like I want to become her husband, even though he's the least qualified person possible to become the husband of the queen. But nobody can stop that desire. Anybody, and he has maybe he's qualified to have the desire. Everybody's qualified to have a desire. And so when we see a Rasgula, we have the qualification to have a desire for the Rasgula. Everybody can want something. And so even though it's so far off, so it seems so unattainable, we can still have greed for it. There's always, everybody has a qualified for greed. But what is that greed? That's the thing. Yeah, Sarveshwari Mataji, you raised your hand.
Yeah, no, when you
Yeah, yeah.
when we read about the how to obtain the grid for Rāgānuga-bhakti, and Babaji Maharaj explained, I was thinking, just theoretical also, that we can also have the answer in the Daśa-mūla 7, when it say that a jiva wandering in the higher planets and low planets, but just by good fortune is able to behold a Vaishnava that he have this absorbed in the flowing of rasa Shriyari Bhakti, and then taste arise in the heart, just to follow this Vaishnava way of life. And then he says, gradually become free from the conditioning, and step by step, like you say, suddenly he attain the Chinmaya Swarupa, and then become qualified to taste direct service of Sri Krishna. But it's all for me theoretic, but at least what Babaji Maharaj explained is explained also, I think in the same point or same essence in this Daśa-mūla 7, no? I don't know what it say.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap actually. I've noticed there's a lot of overlap between the different points. But yeah, that number seven,
Number 7, yes.
That's how we become the vimukta, right? The liberated souls. But how do they become liberated like that? Is through the Harikatha. Yeah, through hearing Harikatha. But Harikatha from somebody who already has that rag, from a Ragatmika Vaishnav. That we want to hear Harikatha from that person.
Association, yes.
Yes, that's the process.
Anyway, thank you.
And I just I just wrote a post yesterday about these online programs, but I ended it with a nice quote from my Gurudev. Let me just find it. 1 second. I just get it. Okay. Vine of Devotion. I just posted this yesterday. Okay. So here's a quote. This is my Srila Gurudev. He spoke this originally, and then it was translated into Hindi, and then translated from Hindi into English. But so my Gurudev says, there may not be any taste for the holy name in the beginning stage, but this is not a matter for concern. Yet there definitely should be taste for listening to Harikatha, because by hearing Harikatha from the lips of pure devotees, a taste for chanting Harinam will certainly arise. And even if there is no taste in hearing Harikatha, it should be heard again and again, and the pure devotees speaking that katha should be offered proper respect. So really that's why it's first is Shravan, and then Kirtan, and then Smaran. First, we have to hear the Kirtan of the pure devotees. And then when we hear that powerful Kirtan of the pure devotees, especially of the Rasik Bhaktas, then we will be able to do kirtan ourselves. We must do kirtan ourselves. After doing Shravan of this pure kirtan of the Ragatmik Vaishnavas, then we must do kirtan ourselves. And then we'll be able to do, then our complete absorption will be in Krishna. Then we'll come to the stage of, then we can finally come to the stage of Rāgānuga Bhakti, and we'll be, then Smaran, then we'll just be, what is it? Parama Avishtata, complete intense absorption in Radha and Krishna. All right. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Is there anything anybody wants to mention before we end today's program? Okay. Jai Shri Radhe. Thank you so much for joining. See you all tomorrow. Just looking one last time at YouTube. Okay. Haribol.